And this week, I want to tell you about two stories to come out of the United States and the very different reaction to both of them and what that tells us about the state of justice in Joe Biden's America. First off, Rudy Giuliani. This week, the feds raided the apartment of the greatest mayor New York City has ever known, who later went on to become Donald Trump's personal lawyer and one of the key figures involved in the challenging of last year's election results. At 6 a.m., investigators came into his Manhattan apartment, seizing computers and phones and files as part of an investigation into whether Giuliani broke the law in his dealing with Ukraine while Trump was president. It was an extraordinary thing, and even the New York Times conceded that, quote, the execution of search warrants is an extraordinary act for prosecutors to take against a lawyer, let alone a lawyer for a former president. Now, we all have to see how it plays out, and Giuliani says that the whole matter stems from claims that he failed to register as a foreign agent for a foreign national he says he never represented. We'll see. That's for the courts to decide. But it is an extraordinary thing to consider, and hard not to think that at least some of this may be political theater by the Biden administration's Justice Department, particularly when you consider that the Biden administration is still counting on climate change czar John Kerry to save the world. And again, for this story, let's go to the New York Times. Buried deep in this report about a secret audio recording revealing the inner workings of Iran's revolutionary terrorist regime was this little tidbit. Quote, former Secretary of State John Kerry informed the Iranian Foreign Minister that Israel had attacked Iranian interests in Syria at least 200 times to his astonishment, Mr. Zarif, the Foreign Minister, said. In other words, when 2018, when Trump was president, John Kerry, off his own bat and supposedly, I presume, out of the goodness of his heart, told Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif about over 200 covert Israeli attacks on Iranian interests in Syria. Kerry has form here, by the way. In May 2018, the Boston Globe reported that Kerry met with the Iranians, again as a private citizen, to talk about ways to save the Iran nuclear deal. That same year, Israeli newspaper Maariv reported that Kerry sent a message to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas telling him, quote, that he should stay strong in his spirit and play for time, that he will not break and will not yield to President Trump's demands because, as Kerry said, Trump will be out of office within the year. Now, I could spend the rest of the hour detailing Kerry's behavior and his undermining of American policy, but we have more important things to talk about. But consider, why is Rudy Giuliani under investigation for his work for foreign entities when John Kerry, who has been conducting his own foreign policy for years, is free to fly around the world lecturing countries like Australia about the climate? In the U.S., justice is supposed to be blind, but under Joe Biden, it's looking like it might have gotten its sight back in its left eye.